Hi, it's Marlene here, and I've had quite a few requests for information about my van life, how I'm living, and I thought now's a good time to address some of those things and do some questions and answers. So I hope you'll join me and maybe you'll get one of your questions or more answered. The first topic is, where do I park at night? Well, for myself, I park on family land and I pay a small amount each week towards the rates and general maintenance on that property. So I'm very fortunate in that I have that luxury, really, because it is a luxury, not having to worry about where you're going to park at night, because for some out there it's a constant worry on a daily basis. Now, I can only speak for what I know of New Zealand. In your country it could be entirely different. But first off, we have freedom camping, which is free parking on public land. Now these are well sought after and there's only a few around in each town, and the secret, I believe, to that is getting there early. So don't leave it till when you want to park up and go to sleep or have your dinner. Get there a lot earlier because they fill very quickly. Now that's public land, and the only requirements are you must follow the rules because each town is different, but the rules are that you must be fully self-contained and you've got to be certified, and you can apply and get what they call a green sticker, and that says that your waste and everything disposal is all going to be taken care of. You're not going to leave a mess in the area when you leave. Now the second alternative is what we call dock land, which is the Department of Conservation. Now these pieces of land are quite often around beaches, that sort of thing, or forests, and again it might be a minimal payment, not very many facilities. Some do have facilities, and like toilets I mean, and you can often park in those. Doing Google search is always good to find out where in your area that those parks are. Now the other option, which is a very good one, I haven't taken the opportunity on this one yet because I'm as of yet travelling, so I haven't moved from the area, but I would fully intend to take advantage of this because it's the New Zealand Motor Caravan Association. Now it's an annual one-off fee to join of $150, and then it's $102 annual. I believe that's just for one person. I think it could be a little bit more for a couple, but I haven't visited those, but I do have a friend who is a camper and she utilises those, and those are very, very good, and a minimal rate to stay overnight, and you have many different facilities. So I think again you may need to be certified to be able to enter those parks. So those are the sort of things that you have to consider. Now another idea, I mean those are the basics, those are the obvious go-tos, but I think this applies to everybody. It doesn't matter which country you live in. You have to think about other options. You have to really look around and be observant, because there's things like pet sitting, house sitting over here, that's quite popular, and I believe it is also overseas. In fact, you can also, swap houses and go to, say, Ireland, and they come here and live in your house, that sort of thing. But stick to the basics here. We're van lifing, we're not hobnobbing across the ocean. Yes, you can do pet sitting, house sitting, that sort of thing. Or another option is that I've seen people advertising for people to stay on land. We call them lifestyle blocks here in New Zealand, and they can be from 1 acre up to 10 more. And quite often it's advantageous to both to camp there, because in your self-contained unit, because you can keep an eye on an area of that lifestyle block which may not be seen by the owner very often. So you're another set of eyes on the property. Sometimes it might be for a small amount of money, or it could be, say, gardening, helping with animals, whatever like duties you may be able to offer. And it's a personal agreement that you'd come to with the owner of the property. Now, you can also, of course, stay with family, friends, as long as you don't outstay your welcome. I'm sure they'd be quite glad to have you there. So those are other options. Overseas, I've seen different people, like in the USA, for example, buy very inexpensive blocks of land and they use that as a base. Over here it's a little different, because if you buy land, it must have a dwelling on it. You cannot park a van on it, on a bare block of land, which is a shame because it would be ideal. But those are the rules, so we have to abide by them. So that is the other alternative. If you can find someone who already has a property, a dwelling on it, and you can share a space for and live there with them, that's the option. Or alternatively, I've seen groups of people on social media asking if there's any other like-minded people who want to share in a property. But I mean, that's getting quite involved, and the point I'm making really is never just go through life with blinkers here. You need to always keep your ears and eyes open for opportunities that be out of the box. And so that applies, as I say, to everybody all around the world. There'll be situations in your country that I have nothing, no knowledge of, that you could perhaps see an opportunity and start something new. Of course, there's always the opportunity to work part-time. I mean, I would certainly not disregard that option if I needed to, and felt that, for whatever reason, I need to top everything up because I was running out for whatever calamity had arisen and forced me into it, probably, because I prefer to stay retired if I could. But, you can't write everything in stone and think that there's no, once you've committed to it, there's no other option. Of course there are. There's always options. You can chop and change whenever you want. So don't be fearful for that. Another way to have this lifestyle and succeed quite well is to, if you're a tradesperson of any kind, you can, say, a carpenter or an electrician, you can take a small trailer on the back of your camper and have a little workshop where you can be a mobile, whatever it might be, fill in the blank. And quite a few people I've seen, especially overseas, have done this very successfully. They don't have to work the long hours. They can travel where the work is, especially if it's seasonal or anything like that. Another thing would be teaching, or if you're a seamstress or an artist, craftsperson, you could do the same. Just a small trailer on the back offers you that luxury of having your equipment, whatever you need, so that you can, will they do it? There's a name for it, isn't it? I keep thinking skylark, but I don't think it's skylark. It's not mudlark either, is it? Another concern for a lot of people was health. What happens if I get so old and decrepit, I can't get my license anymore, I can't climb up to my bed or whatever? And to be honest, I suppose it's just a personal thing with me. I am the eternal optimist. I live for today. I'm not crazy stupid where I don't think about the future, but I certainly don't anticipate all these sorts of disasters of myself falling down 100 steps or, yeah. But let's be frank, the chances that I may go deaf, blind or whatever, yeah, of course, as you get older, you have to be realistic, but I'm not going to live in fear of it. And I think that's the secret. Now, whether I was living in a home or the van, it wouldn't really make much difference. If I had any kind of physical disability, I would have to address it at the time, whenever it, and if it actually did happen. I would have to, like if I was confined to a wheelchair, some houses haven't got wheelchair access, what do you do then? It's the same scenario. And my belief in life is that every day has its enough worries of its own. Just focus on those. And if that happened, then I would sit down and work out with doctors or advisors, or whoever they might be, and tell me what my prognosis was, what I had to do, what I couldn't do, and then I would have to move on from there. But I'm not going to stop doing what I am doing now and live in a house in case I go blind. You know, that's just not in my it's not in my rule book. But I can understand, you know, I'm not trying to devalue people's fears. You know, I mean, there obviously are concerns, and that's my advice: is to not fret too much about it. Just think about all the calamities you've had in your past. You've got through them. Somebody's advised you or helped you or whatever, and you've got to where you are today. And it'll be the same in the future. If you can't do something, then you have to reevaluate your life on that day, though, not now. I'm not ready for it there. Another question, and it was quite valid, I hadn't even considered it as something that people would even think of, but the astute did. They said, why didn't I move in with my daughter? Well, my daughter did offer, but there's 6 of them in that family, and I'm an introvert, so there was no way I was going to move in with that many people, especially when there were some littlies involved. I'm a good grandmother, don't you worry about that, but I draw the line. I like to be able to come out when I've had enough and I'm tired and hangry. I want to just come out to my camper and have a nice quiet meal and put my feet up and enjoy life. So that's the reason why I didn't move in with my daughter, is I'm fiercely independent. I've still got my wits about me. Well, I think so. There's a lot of people who probably say that's not true, but I believe it, and that's all that matters to me. So yes, I like to be independent. I mean, the day that I can't drive, yeah, I'm going to be really annoyed. That's how I will be feeling, annoyed, because I really enjoy freedom to be able to do what and when I like. So yes, I haven't got um, people around me who aren't caring for me. They all asked questions, they had their concerns, and I answered the best I could, and they've been very supportive, very, very supportive. And so whenever I need any assistance, I know that I can depend on them. And I would like to think that you too would be in that position as an older person and a parent, that your family would advise you, take care of you if need be. Another valid question was, what would I do if there was bad weather forecast? Severe weather we're talking about here. But the advantage is, if there was any sort of disaster, I could always move the van. Um, I wouldn't, if there was a storm approaching, I certainly wouldn't park under a tree or anything. I'd just move the van. It's only a few minutes to actually move it to another spot. Or if it was, you know, something more severe, I could certainly take me and anyone else that I saw on the way that might have needed a ride. I could take them to a safest place, yes. Because I park on family land, I don't need to be concerned with mail. I know that for a lot of things, for everyday life, you need a address to have a statement sent to you, registration, all sorts of things like that. You must have a fixed address of some sort. And I can use my family address, and even if I was travelling, I could still do the same. I would be in contact with them regularly, and that would be something that we could do. And I'm sure you could do that in your country as well. And you may even have different options that we don't have here. But yes, that's the main one. And also Wi-Fi. I use my phone for hotspotting, and I can use library, or I do actually pay for my daughter to pay something towards her internet so that I can upload these videos. So that's a good thing, isn't it? Otherwise I'd be really sitting for hours uploading them. Mind you, they are usually only short, which helps. So to summarise, I think really it's all about keeping your mind open to opportunities. All around you, every day, you have probably had opportunities come to you, but you've not seen them because you've been distracted usually, and just we're just not we have busy lives and we don't always pay attention. But I found that if I take a moment just to talk to people, I found it more so as I've got older, especially. Um, like for example, today I had to go and get the gas bottle refilled, and this guy says to me, he says, "Oh, good morning," and it was actually good afternoon, and I brought his attention to it, and we got into a bit of a banter, and he was being quite humorous, and because I could have just brushed that off because I was actually in a hurry. I had to be somewhere else at a certain time, so I could have just brushed it off. But I said to him, queried him what he was talking about, and he proceeded to tell me that he'd gone detecting, and of course that piqued my interest straight away because I love to do detecting as well, and so I said so. So we got into a little banter about that. Now that's something that I haven't done over the summer months because it gets really hot and I don't do hot weather. Plus the beaches are the only place I can really detect. I like to detect in crowds, um, and we're not allowed to dig around, as you can well imagine, sports fields, etc. So beach is always a good place, and it's my happy place. But anyway, he got talking about it, and that to me is a good example of those little cues that we get, and it's just a little nudge, a little reminder, and he mentioned a couple of spots, and I thought that's what I should be doing this weekend if it finds up. We've got an awful, not a storm, but just a real wet front over the country at the moment, and because we're a small country we usually all get the same weather most of the time, and it's really rainy and miserable today, but that's okay. The garden needed it, the animals and birds and whatever, so that's good. Oh, and one little thing, we don't have any wild animals to worry about. We don't have snakes, things like that here. So we're really fortunate in that matter. I know it's not so good for other people. They're in countries where you have to be on guard for things like that. But as I say, that's not something I have to worry about. So yes, I think that's pretty well covered anything. If there's anything else that you would like to know, always welcome a comment. And just go with this thought that, yeah, look for those little cues. They come around all day. And if you don't stop and listen to them, you'll miss them. So until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.